Okay, so today we're going to show you how to distinguish between different data sets. And we're going to use electronic sales between the months of January and June. So first off, we're going to want a title, right? So we're going to say electronic sales within the first 6 months. And I'm going to want to use between A and G. However, let's merge these cells. Now I'm going to go to Home. I'm going to go to Merge and Center. And essentially by clicking that, it's going to merge all 7. So what are we going to name this? We're going to name this electronic sales for the first 6 months. All right. So the months that we're actually going to have data on is between January and June. So let's type in January right here. And actually, instead of individually typing out each month, Excel has a neat tool where it recognizes patterns such as months, dates, numbers, etc. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to hover over this till I get that black cross. I'm going to want to drag all the way over to G till I get to June. All right, so instead of wasting your guys' time by individually typing every single row out, I'm just going to insert the data myself. So as you can see here, we have the cells for printer, monitor, vacuum cleaner, laptop, etc. And so essentially, the table's actually not even done. First, we want to clean it up a little bit. So what you notice is that you cannot see every single word clearly. And what I want to do is I actually want to expand each cell. But instead of doing that individually, you can just go in between A and B. You can either drag it out or you could double click, which essentially just fits the words into the cell. There you go. So now that we have our table filled with the data, we're now going to want a visual representation of the difference in sales per month. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to create a chart. So essentially I'm going to go to this top left column and I'm going to go all the way down to 174. I want all the months and I want all the items included just because you will see that on the chart it actually represents it clearly when I do that. So what I want is I want to insert a chart. I'm going to go to the Insert tab and go to Recommended Charts right here. But 4 down, we got the clustered column chart. I chose this chart just because I feel like it best portrays the difference in sales per month. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to drag this chart over here. So we got some things to fix on this chart. First off, there's no title. Now, how do you change your title? Well, you go all the way, you click on your chart and you go up to this Format tab right here. And you're going to click on Format. And you're going to go over to this drop-down menu right here as I'm hovering over it. There, 2 down, we have Chart Title. And essentially, that's just going to isolate this edit. So I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to say electronic cells. All right, there you go. So next, you notice that we actually have the total sales per month in the chart. We wouldn't want that, so how do you delete that in the chart without actually deleting the data in the table? So you're going to want to go to Series Total Sales per Month, which essentially isolates that row. So we're going to click on that, and it's going to highlight just the single row. And we're going to press backspace, which is only going to affect the chart, and you're going to see how it's going to affect the chart and make it seem more distinguishable. Boom. All right, so now that we have our chart, we're going to want to change the axes a little bit. So how do you do that? We're going to go back up to this drop-down menu, and essentially we're going to want to scale it down a little bit. So I'm going to go up to Chart Area, and down about 6, we have Vertical Value Access. Get the drop-down menu. Now we're going to want the format selection. So I'm going to click on Format Selection. And now we're going to get this little pop-up over here. And we got the minimum of 0 and a maximum of 80. And you notice that there's nothing over 70. So we're going to change it down to 70. And this just makes each item for each month more apparent. So we're going to check 70. All right, there you go. Okay, so now that we have our graph totally scaled down and ready to go, we're now going to show you how to create a scatter plot. Now, in order to efficiently do this, we're going to choose just one item to show. And what seems to be the best item is Space Heater. Now, how do we create a scatter plot using the data from a space heater sales? So what we're going to do is, instead of actually dragging over to highlight, we're going to click on this 9 right now, which is going to click or cover the entire row. So how do we insert a scatter plot? We're going to go next to recommended charts, and we're going to go down to scatter plot. And essentially this is just going to focus on just the space heater sales. Now from here, we can go to, we're already in chart design, we're going to go to add chart element. Now what this is going to do is we're going to actually add a line of best fit. This can vary from graph to graph. This can be parabolic, this can be exponential, but in this case, I believe it's going to be a solid straight line. So what I'm going to want to do is, you guys actually cannot see this drop down, but at the bottom says trend line. We're going to go down to more trend line options. And on the right, we're going to see that if we go to bar chart, we're going to see that it's linear fit. And we're also going to see that we can actually put an equation on the chart. Now, this will help us understand the relationship between the sales of each month. So we're going to put this equation right on the graph. And from here, we're going to notice that y equals negative 12.486 plus 79.867. Now, the 79.867 doesn't mean anything, but since we already have the line of best fit on here, I'm going to explain what the negative 12.486x is. This will be helpful for future projects, as certain relationships are very important for deriving equations or whatever you need. So in this case, we know that as each month passes, they're going to lose out on selling approximately 12.486 space heaters on average.